Beavemanites and Docutrons, assemble!
Okay, so back in the day, I was way above the wave, and I traded in the girls for the video games.
Okay, well, I am now back in Michigan. I'm done with Arizona. This is Beaveman on the dock, and I am the Beaveman. We are without the dock again because this is doing what I'm doing is a little bit of an interview. We're trying some interviewing, really, and Doc is all wrapped up in his studies. Apparently, he can't do two things at once. No offense to Doc, but some people can't do that, and apparently he's one of those people. With me today, I have got our very first interviewee. He is the Ricker.
Hello.
Just like the guy from Silver Spoons. You know,
Yeah, just like that.
just like the guy from Silver Spoons. You might remember him from Silver Spoons, the long flowing blonde hair. How's it going there, Rick?
It's going.
Absolutely great. Good. Going well.
Yep, going well. Absolutely great.
Okay.
Most
So where
excellent.
where are you located today?
Mississippi, Olive Branch, Mississippi.
All right. Extending the Peace Treaties, I guess, in the
Yes,
great
yes.
state of Mississippi. You pronounce it Mississippi or you pronounce it Mississippi?
It depends on how many drinks I've had.
Okay. That's fair. All right. So thanks for agreeing to be our first interviewee. Do you think you've got a pretty good story for us based on the questions I'm going to ask you?
Well, we'll see. I don't know what you
Yeah.
got up your
Did you
sleeve.
did you get the
beat
memo?
man has a tendency to have a lot up his sleeve.
Yeah. Did you get the memo on the questions I will be asking today?
No memo here.
No? Okay. Well, that's good because I didn't send a memo. So that's
I was just madly scraping through my emails.
like looking, like I'm scanning. No, I don't have anything. So we're doing once again, we're using a little bit of the Zencaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this interview with the Rick here, and it's going to upload to the cloud, and I'll pull it off there and mix it and everything. So we're having some metallic sounds occasionally from Rick if he gets too excited. Apparently, I don't know.
Oh, great.
Did you want me to? Are you going to share this with lots of people so that they get to learn your life story?
Anybody that wants to hear it, we are going to make sure that the Beef Man is heard.
Okay. So, real simple then. Where did you grow up?
A combination of Florida and Michigan. I was actually born in Marquette, but my dad was in the Air Force, so I spent a lot of time moving back and forth.
Okay. So you were born in Marquette?
Yep. And I've
where
never
is the
been back
Marquette?
except to be born.
Oh, so you've never been back.
It's at K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base, which apparently doesn't exist anymore. So I might go up there
Okay,
sometime and see where I used to be, just so I'll know where I was born.
Okay. Well, I've been to Marquette. There's like a river there and stuff. It's kind of up in the upper part of Michigan. So I don't think you're missing a whole heck of a lot. Having said that, though, if anybody's listening from Marquette, I love that town.
Yes, me too. I go there often.
So how much time did you spend in Florida then?
It's a sketchy story. We moved down there right after I was born, stayed there till I was 3, came up to Michigan, lived here till I was, 5 in Charlotte, moved back down to Florida till I was around 14, and then back up to Michigan. And then I moved back down there by myself at around 16, and then came back up here for my senior year, and the rest is history.
Okay, so what was the sketchy story about? Where your parents were drug runners or gun runners or something? That's why they had to go back down to Florida?
It's a hard question to answer because you have to add up 3 or 4 different moves. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you were pretty mobile then is what you're saying?
Yeah. I could probably drive there with my eyes shut at this point in my life.
And what part of Florida were you living in?
The early years, Bradenton, just south of Tampa. And then from...
And what was that like?
Hot. It's hot and constantly growing. I mean, the town is huge now, and it was kind of a little town when we moved in there. Oh, that had been about 1980. Now I couldn't find my way around Bradenton if I had to because it sprouted up so much. I haven't been there since.
So what was going on in
91.
what was going on there the years that you were there? If that was that would be the late 80s, just prior to the 90s. What was going on?
Everything was going on. I mean, it's a tourist town, you know. Lots of what do you call it? Speedy, cheap builders building duplexes everywhere around us. The place just blowing up.
What about you? What do you think culturally? What did you grasp from living there from a cultural standpoint?
I was in the neighborhood that we lived in for most of the time in Florida. I was the minority. We had a lot of African Americans and a lot of Cubans, and then one little white guy that lived on our street, and that was me.
So when you say one little white guy, you're literally pretty accurate.
Yes, I'm one little white guy.
You're one little white guy. All right. What was your what do you think what was your family relationship like? Were you living were your parents together then?
No, my parents got divorced when I was 3, and my mom stayed in Destin. That's when my dad moved us up here. That had been around 78, 79. We moved to Michigan, and then he met my stepmom.
What was your dad doing?
He was
okay. What was your dad's business? What did he do?
He was in the Air Force up until we moved to Michigan, and then he worked for GM.
No kidding. Your dad was in the Air Force.
Yep.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's why I was born at K.I. Sawyer. He was a dental assistant in the Air Force.
Okay. So that's I guess that would be a typical Air Force job.
Right.
So I like to bust on the Air Force and say, yeah, that's the Air Force is another, it's either a corporation or a bunch of civilians wearing a military outfit.
Right. It's about right.
So that would be a pretty typical Air Force job then. That's a typical Air Force gig, a dental assistant. And then he went to work for GM,
Yep.
So not doing any dental stuff there.
Nope. He went to school after we moved to Bradenton, and because he had a huge family, it was I don't really understand the red tape behind it, but he ended up getting screwed out of dental school somehow and kind of just lost the dream.
Oh, okay. Well, that happens. I mean, difference between, I guess, putting parts on a car or staring into somebody's maw the rest of your life. Maybe he got the better end of the stick. So your mom you guys got the divorce. So your mom stayed in Florida.
Yep. She hasn't been.
And did she remarry? Did she remarry?
Yes. She's been married twice.
Oh, okay. All righty. And so you got an extended family then too?
Oh, yeah. Family all over the place. Everyone on my mom's side is either in Georgia or Florida, and then everyone on my dad's side is up here, up in Michigan.
So your dad was originally from Michigan then?
I think so. I know his family lived down there when he was in high school as well, but I don't have a clue where they're actually, if he's from Michigan or if he was born in Florida. I have no idea.
Oh, all right. Because Michigan would be kind of a strange place to go to if you're not from here, in my opinion.
I agree.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know that too many people, I guess, migrate to Michigan.
No, it doesn't seem like a destination state, does it?
No, I just spent 3 months in Arizona, and I did meet a lot of people that were not from Arizona,
right?
That came from the Midwest. So in the last time I was there a year ago, it was the same thing. Most of the people I met from Arizona, a lot of them were not from Arizona. So I can't say that in living in Michigan, I have not met too many people from other states.
Yeah.
Most of them live in Michigan, are from Michigan. Their families from Michigan.
Yep. Pretty much.
Well, a lot of them complain that they're from Michigan and talk about leaving Michigan, but they don't actually do it.
Yep. So. I threaten to drive south till I smell salt water every year.
Yeah. So, I was wondering, when you talk about people's childhoods, you kind of romanticize a little bit. Some people romanticize a little bit. I can remember that not getting any advice from my parents. Do you remember any good advice that you received from your family?
Absolutely
your
not.
Yeah. I also do not. I can remember once I had I was going to the bathroom and I kicked the handle of the toilet to flush it. And my friend asked me, he's like, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Well, that was my dad's advice, and the only advice my dad ever gave me was no, don't flush the toilet with your hands in public restrooms."
I'm sure my dad gave me plenty of advice. It must have gone in one ear and right out the other, because I can't even think of like one example. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest thing was, if you're going to do something, do it right, because I was always doing stuff half-assed.
Well, that's pretty good advice. But you know, the funny thing about the advice that I had told my friend is that wasn't from my father.
No.
I don't even remember who told me that. I think that was common sense on my part, that to never flush the toilet with my hands.
Yeah, it's a good,
Either that or
good rule to live by.
I saw it somewhere. Yeah, but I always play that off as advice that my father had given me, but he actually had never given me that advice.
Yeah, you asked the question, and I was like, at a loss, man. Like, I can't think of. My childhood was definitely not anything you'd romanticize. That's for sure.
Now I remember. Now let's see. So you would have been, if for the listeners, they don't know. So Rick has decided he's agreed to do my first interview, but he's not somebody that I don't know. So we grew up sort of together, kind of in and out sporadically, I guess you could say. Rick, you came into my life when I was a sophomore, I would say. Probably you were a freshman.
Yeah, I think so. It would have been around 89, 88, 89. I was a freshman in high school. You're only a year older than me, right?
Well, I think my earliest memories of, when we spent more time together, I guess, was in home ec class.
Yeah. Home ec and
So
band.
if I remember back correctly, maybe I was a junior then.
I think you might have been a junior. I think you're 2 years older than me.
Yeah, I think I was a junior then. Yeah, I think you're right, because I think that at that point in time, the girl who would become my girlfriend was in our class with us, wasn't she?
Yes, in band
Isn't
at
that what
least.
happened? I think that's how it worked out, if I remember correctly. Anyway, the point is, there was a point in time when, yeah, it had to have been junior. It had to have been a junior. That's my guess. Let's see, because we were in a play together. We were in the Follies together.
Yep, that would have been my sophomore year.
So that's why Rick has decided that he would throw us a bone and do the interview and break up the monotony of me talking to Doc anyway.
I wouldn't call it monotony. It's big fun to listen to you talk to Doc.
So what was your experience then growing up in regard to what was your attitude towards school, I guess, is a question.
In order to answer that question, you have to understand that I was going to be a rock star, and I didn't really need school.
Oh, for sure. You didn't need school. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't.
And of course, you're going to be this rock star. You're going to get discovered. Was your plan to get discovered where you were living locally? Was that your plan?
I'm going to tell you, there was no plan whatsoever. It was just going to happen magically somehow. I also didn't have any talent, which is something that needs to be discussed a little.
Well, I mean, there's not necessarily, I'm sure there's plenty of pop icons or members of the pop culture that don't have that much talent either. So to be fair,
yeah.
But would they be rock stars? No, because a rock star to me meets a definition of, you either got to be able to belt it out, or you got to, with a really good band, or you have to be a member of that really good band that's playing and belting it out.
Right.
So to be a true rock star, or you've got to be the guitar player or the bass player or the drummer. I don't think rock stars are in the same league as pop stars, whereas pop stars could have some notoriety without being that talented.
True story. Yeah.
But to be a rocker, I don't think so. You got to have some talent to be a rocker.
All of my fame was...
I could be wrong, but that's my opinion.
All of my fame was inside my head, and it was all going to happen, the theoretical someday. And you can see now how that worked out for me quite well, right?
So much like Bill and Ted.
Right.
Much like Bill and Ted.
Like Bill and Ted, yeah.
they're like, we're going to be famous, but we can't really play guitar or anything right now. Someday Eddie Van Halen's going to come across us, and he's, that's how we're going to look.
Yeah, I didn't even get my first guitar until I was a junior in high school. So if that tells you, maybe even a senior.
I was going to say, because I don't remember you playing a guitar.
Nope, I didn't even pick one up. I could play any instrument by ear back then, but I never picked up a guitar until...
Okay, so now correct me if I'm wrong. Now, this has brought back a memory for me, is I can remember you playing clarinet.
Yep.
Was that right?
Yep.
Is that...
Yep,
So
I was Chuck Dixon's favorite clarinetist. Yeah, that was
wow.
said
Okay,
with
so
sarcasm.
yeah, that was so you didn't really think that you were going to make it from the clarinet. You weren't going for like a symphony orchestra
No, the
or would
clarinet
that even be
was
a
the
thing?
stand-in for the sax when they gave us sixth grade band and you had to pick an instrument. Every kid picked either a sax or the drums, and I was one of those kids that picked sax. And the band director said, "This is kind of like a sax. You want to play this?" And so I took her advice and played the clarinet.
Wow. Yeah, they're very similar. I mean, one is totally cool, and one is the clarinet.
Exactly right.
one is flipping awesome, and the other one is
Not
the
so much.
clarinet. Uh,
my dad used
they
my dad used to pick on me so bad about it. He had nicknames.
it would be kind of ruthless.
What's that?
Yeah, I could imagine being kind of ruthless
Oh
if
yeah.
your kid ended up playing the clarinet.
Oh yeah. Then I
Yeah.
came to Bellevue and realized, after I don't know 4 or 5 years of playing clarinet, that it wasn't cool, and I quit band my freshman year.
Well, I mean, I commend you on it taking you that long to realize that it wasn't cool.
Well, you never
if I
really,
think back now,
you never really find like fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, nobody's cool, and you're actually striving to be good at something. So I stayed first or second chair at the middle school I went to in Florida, and then I moved up to Michigan and realized how utterly ridiculous band was, especially if you play clarinet. So
and I hate to be sexist, but even playing clarinet as a male at
oh,
that time,
oh yeah,
I would say you were the only person I ever knew who was a male that played clarinet.
I
We
can't
didn't have any
name,
male flute players.
I can't name one. I can't name one other guy
No,
that
we
played
didn't.
clarinet in my life.
Yeah, I mean, we had men who played trumpet. That was pretty normal.
Mhm.
Cornet, trumpet, whatever, drums, trombone, baritone, whatever. But no, we didn't have any male flute players, and we didn't have any male clarinet players.
Nope. In the middle school that I went to, we had two male flautists, and I still am not sure I wasn't the only clarinet player that was a male there.
Hmm.
It's been too many years.
So I guess that not only was that town, speaking of the town that I grew up in, not only was that town exceptionally racist, we were clearly, we were clearly also very sexist.
Yes. To say the least. I moved to that town and had hair down to the middle of my back and played a clarinet. You can imagine the
Oh, for
tags
sure.
that were put on me almost instantly.
And well, not only did you have long hair, but you had long flowing blonde hair.
Right.
I mean, it was a blondish color, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, not a lot of people could boast that. Not a lot of people could boast that. We had a lot of dirty brown hair. I don't even know if we could have had people with blonde hair, but because they didn't wash their hair, then maybe it was just brown. And black, is what I thought.
Well, the first thing I saw at that school was a girl with a wad of chew in her mouth, so I knew I must be in the right place.
Yeah, we had quite a few girls that had that would dip or chew. I can think of a couple of them off the top of my head. Actually, fairly attractive women back then, and yet they still did that.
Yep.
They might still actually. You know what? That's possible. They might still do it. Who knows? That's really possible. So it was a culture shock for you. What you're saying is coming from Florida to Michigan.
Oh yeah.
Especially what I would consider your backward redneck town.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'd never.
That's
seen
putting it
anything
nicely.
like it.
I don't. Yeah, me either. And I grew up there. It was quite. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? And by the way, if anybody from Bellevue is listening to this show and takes any offense at what I'm saying, good. Fuck you. If you're taking offense at it, I haven't spent nearly enough time busting on your stupid fucking town. So let me bust on it just a little bit more and tell you to go fuck yourself. But if you're listening, please still continue to listen and just take my insults with a grain of salt. But still, go fuck yourself. Anyway. Now, an interesting thing about Beaveman and the Doc, I don't know if you know this, because you've listened to our episodes before, right, Rick?
I have.
Yeah. interesting story, a little story, a side note as we take a little break from interviewing Rick here. But interesting little side note here is that sometimes when I go off on tangents, did you know that Doc makes me erase stuff?
Does he really?
Well, he actually requests that I erase stuff, which is, do you know that you have this picture in your mind? Say, for example, my picture of Rick, we used to call him Ricky. Yeah, I'm sure you don't go by that anymore.
Only for Bellevue people, because they still do it.
I try not to do it. I try not to call you Ricky, but only if I talk about you, but not to you. Like if I talk to you, I call you Rick. If I'm talking to you like with my family, I'm like, oh hey, I'm going to interview tonight. I said I'm going to interview Ricky. Mm-hmm. In my mind, you're always the same guy. So even though I see you now, I'm like, obviously you're older, but in my mind, I always see that same guy in my head. You know, I always see the flowing blonde hair, tan little Floridian guy in my head whenever I picture you. Well, even though it's been a minute since. Well, probably since you had the flowing blonde hair.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Now my hair is a nice clear color, and it doesn't flow at all.
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But in my mind's eye, I never pictured Doc turning out to be the guy who would yell at people to get off his lawn.
Me
not
neither.
saying that.
I've known Doc for a lot of years. So that's not where I figured he'd be right now.
And not saying that he actually is that way, but in my mind now, that's my perception of Doc, and that's why I always kid him. I'm always like, okay, so you're the guy who's wearing shoes that you don't have to tie, and you're yelling at kids to get off your lawn. Yeah, you know, that sort of thing.
And not laughing at your jokes right now.
And getting pissed that I'm even saying it right now. But that would be a stretch, because then you would have to imagine that Doc is listening to the podcast when I put it out there, because he doesn't listen to them as far as I know. What? Yeah. Anyway, take a break from Rick telling us a little bit about himself just to ask some silly questions. I'm going to run by you and see what you think of these questions.
Okay.
Who would win in a fight? This is the reason why I'm asking these questions, is I'm trying to develop a psychological profile.
Gotcha.
Who would win in a fight, Superman versus Batman?
Well, the fight happened, and I missed the end of that movie. I have no idea. I think seriously, I fell asleep in a hotel.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that abortion of a movie. In your opinion, who would win in a fight, Superman versus Batman?
Easily Superman.
Try to ignore the movies that they've put out.
Right. Yeah.
So you say Superman.
My perception would easily be Superman.
Okay. So that's a negative check.
And this interview's over.
As you fail your psychological profile. No. Okay. How about this one? Who would win in a fight? Darth Vader versus Dracula.
Huh. Gonna have to go with Vader on that one. Dracula doesn't have a whatchamacallit there.
Well, I was going to give you a point until you said whatchamacallit, and I'm assuming you mean lightsaber.
Yeah, well, I don't know why that just left my mind, like right now too. I can picture it. I'm over here like waving one around in this hotel room.
He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that thing that goes. He doesn't have that.
My brain wouldn't come up with lightsabers. I'm embarrassed right now. Seriously.
He's got, that flashlight. Right. Well, okay, for that psychological profile, I'd say you're doing a little bit better. But notice how I'm taking good guy against good guy, bad guy against bad guy. I'm not saying that good guy versus bad guy. So I'm taking them from the same ilk, if you will, same cut of cloth. Mm-hmm. All right, here's a tough one for you. Who will win in a fight? Harry Potter versus Jesus. I know, both fictional characters.
I'm like, you're walking really in trend.
Now, Doc would get pissed about that one if I said that. And I'm going to ask him that question. I'm going to do the same thing. Be like, yeah, no, both fictional.
Everybody's welcome to their opinion. I think Harry Potter's real. I don't know what your problem is.
Exactly right. I'm
gonna have to go with Jesus on that one.
You're gonna go with Jesus on that one? I think that there are. Don't quote me. I'm gonna have to look it up. I know that I'm right. There are research. People have written research papers on the correlation or the similarities between Harry Potter and Jesus.
I get that. I think you and the doc have discussed that on a podcast. Not really at great length, but somewhat.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find one of those research papers and read it, because I think it'd be pretty cool, actually.
I'd like to find a couple.
All right, here. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there. All right. How about this question? What would you rather have, a taco or a hot dog?
Taco.
Nice. Down. Good question. Hands down. Okay. I think that if you had selected hot dog, then I don't know. I think that maybe I think because I'm not going to say that he's a homophobe, but he might have taken offense at that. And that's not even what it
If
means.
there's anything I've been skilled at, it's avoiding that situation.
Here's a great question that I'm trying these questions with Rick here so that we can so that I can trial them future interview questions. What do you think of these questions so far?
They're inventive, very inventive questions.
Except for the taco and hot dog one. That's a universal
This is-
question. I think that's been asked for
Absolutely.
years. Okay. What famous person, now this is real or fictional, would you consider being gay with? Or
What?
the second part of this question. Or if you are gay, whom would you have a straight relationship with? Which we know you're not gay, but if you were, it was okay, but we know you're not. But so that's the question. Which famous person, real or fictional, would you consider being gay with?
I've cracked this joke too many times not to give you that answer. Justin Timberlake.
Really?
Absolutely.
And what about Justin Timberlake?
I have no idea. It's just been a running gag in
Okay.
my house because my wife wants him in the worst way, and I'm like, yeah, I'd do him.
Oh, okay.
So-
Well, it seems reasonable. I mean, it seems like you would have better reasons than that, but
The heart
Just
wants what the
because of
heart
that one.
wants, man.
I guess. Okay. All right. So, what's sad is that I could go, I don't even need to, I have a list. I mean, I could just go on and on. Let's see. There's lots of them. I wouldn't even balk at that question. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? You want the top 10? You want the top 10 or you just want the whole list?
Right. I've never put a whole lot of thought into it, though.
Well, these are all the things that are important to know.
I'm
So
going to ponder it from now on, though. Like every actor that comes on, be like, Ryan Reynolds got a nice booty. I mean, hey, what's up?
yeah, Ryan Reynolds would make my list. I'm not sure. In some movies, his lower set of teeth look slightly off, but in the other ones they don't. So I don't know if they did that on purpose. I mean, if those are actually fake teeth, because in Deadpool, his lower set of teeth looks slightly off, but I swear that they're not in another movie.
I have never paid attention to that.
I pay attention to people's teeth. You should too. Your father was a dental assistant in the Air
You should
Force.
see mine. You'll know.
Oh. So let's get back to the guitar thing. So you didn't pick up a guitar till when?
My mom bought me a secondhand pawn shop guitar. I believe I was a junior in high school.
Great. That's nice.
And I learned how to play 3 or 4 songs. She got me a book called like Blues and Country Guitar for the Musically Hopeless, I think is what it came with a tape.
That was the actual title.
I think that's actually what that was called. You could probably still buy it.
So before they had the idiots books and the dumbass books, they had the hopeless, people with no talent, hopeless, depressing guitar music,
Right.
attempts at trying to make you some sort of a player playing Polly Wolly Doodle.
The tape that
Sounds like Polly Wolly crappy.
the tape that came with it literally had what your string is supposed to sound like if it's in tune, and you were supposed to play this and tune your guitar.
So it came with it. You're saying it came with a tape.
Came with a tape and a book. I can't remember what songs came out of it. A, E, and D chords. Like the whole book was A, E, and D chords. And once you finished the book, like you could play like 700 songs.
And so you finished the book and you were able to master 700 songs.
Something like that. I've always been an impatient player. I don't think I made it through the book before I started checking out other venues and other stuff, like realizing I could pick out 1-string songs and lead guitar riffs and things like that right off the bat. And then
And so what was the first rock band you were in then?
Oh,
feel free to make up lies. That's fine.
I'm actually trying to remember. I don't remember if it even had a name.
So you actually did get up with some people who would actually play.
Yeah, there was a couple of bands later on in life that we actually went out and played gigs. One of them we called Area 52,
Very original.
and then the other one, oh, it was called Stifled Intentions, because I stifled a sneeze while we were at practice one day, and somebody said, "What the hell was that?" And I said, "A stifled sneeze," and then the name was made. Neither, and we're talking like by the time I was in my 20s, late 20s, even, I think those bands happened. There was all the little, me and my friends are going to be famous things in my senior year of high school, but nothing that played out for real. You know what I mean? We sat in someone's garage
Oh,
and
okay.
beat the crap out of our guitars for 2 hours a day and never did anything with it.
Now, who was singing then? Who was your? Did you have a really good lead person?
No. Usually it was me.
No, you're like no. Usually no, not at all. It was usually you.
Usually, because I was the only one that had the balls to actually step up to a microphone and make noise. Everybody else was all shy and weird and wanted to play with their back to the imaginary crowd.
Oh, doing the Jim Morrison type thing without being the talent of Jim Morrison.
Right. And I had years and years of doing huge lip sync concerts for the kids in the neighborhood when I was in Bradenton. So I was, man, I was all about attention.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure it serves you well as time goes by.
I was the middle child of a family that had 5 kids in it, so I was all about getting attention in any possible way at that point in life.
There comes a point in time though when you really should stop spanking it in front of everybody.
That's none of your business.
Sometimes that doesn't get the attention that you want. It usually ends you up in some sort of an institution for long periods of time.
I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, don't judge me.
So tell me, so what was the first time like that when you ever played a gig? Do you actually have any memory of ever doing that? What was that like?
I discovered that I have debilitating stage fright is what I discovered.
Okay.
I got on stage and forgot all my chords to all the songs. Went into like this weird, like semi-drunk kind of a state and just forgot everything and couldn't perform, couldn't do anything, and just sort of faked it through the entire thing. And then the silence after the one song we played was absolutely amazing.
You're like, and now the sound of silence.
You could hear.
And no, it's not. It's not Simon and Garfunkel. It's just the sound.
Just the suckiest band that ever walked the face of the planet. Just finished kind of a silence. I had long hair at the time, and I was wearing a baseball cap. So I took the cap off to play so that I could fling the hair around.
Oh, sure.
And, that became more of the show than the actual guitar playing did because, like I said, I forgot my chords. I couldn't remember. Then the lead singer at the time, which I don't remember I don't know if I ever knew his name because I just joined the band 3 days before we played. He cut off my solo.
And rightly so. It
was bad. He tried to jump off the stage into the crowd and yanked his microphone out of the PA. It was a very good show. Very good show.
Oh, it sounds like it. It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. But hey, you got to live that dream.
I got done.
You got to live that
Listen
dream.
to the silence for a good 30 seconds, put my head over my face and walked away, and that was the end of our debut. Also the end of that band.
So you guys only had one song?
We were opening for a band called Dark Side. That's the first real gig I remember was opening for that band. I played a gig with the different bands before that, but that's the first one I really remember. Like there was going to be some big people there as far as local bands and stuff. Other ones, I was just a rhythm guitar, so I didn't have to be in the spotlight. You know what I mean? I'm just standing back there strumming the same 4 or 5 chords over and over again. This is the first time I was ever actually important in a band. And it was just the worst thing that ever happened.
So have you done it since then?
Yeah. I played in a band called OSS for quite a while, And then events that led to my divorce from my second wife happened, and that was the last band I played in.
So, and are you have plans to go doing a band again?
I have not played a guitar since last January, so probably not.
Oh, wow.
I bought my first actual Gibson Les Paul around November of 17. I've played it 5 times. And then January of 18, I lost interest in playing altogether.
Wow. What happened in January?
That was the dreaded heart attack.
Oh.
I think that playing became a smoking and drinking trigger, and I didn't want to play anymore because that meant that triggered smoking and drinking, and I was trying to quit those things because I had just had a heart attack. So I haven't played. I've picked it up here and there, but not really played. You know what I mean?
So I've been playing since, I would say, probably maybe a year before my son was born. So I'd say I've been playing very sporadically for like 22
Mhm.
years. And I can play, stuff. I could never play with anybody else. I can play by myself. I could play with some things, like if a blues track is playing, I could play along with it a
Mhm.
little bit, for fun. But I actually my goal this year was, if I don't play, I told Doc this. I said, you know what? If I don't play 3 times a week consistently this year, I'm giving it up.
Yeah, I've said that at least 7,000 times because I did the same
Because I'm
thing.
not getting any better. I'm not getting any better. I've got, 2 really nice guitars that I like. I mean, they're not, my acoustic is not a famously known acoustic. It's actually an acoustic guitar that was made in
Mhm.
Michigan. 2 companies came together to make this
Mhm.
guitar. A lot of people don't know. I mean, but a lot of people don't know that Gibsons and everything used to be made
Yeah.
in Michigan. And so this guitar was made by these two companies coming together. It was made in, I think, in Pawpaw, Michigan. And so I've got one of those guitars. The company went under, or they sold it or whatever. And the guy who used to be my guitar teacher, he has one also, and we used to play it. And it's a really nice
Mhm.
acoustic guitar, not a well known acoustic guitar. And then I've got my Fender Jazzmaster, my American made Fender
Mhm.
Jazzmaster, and that's it. I said, but if I'm not playing 3 days a week, I'm not. I guess I'm just going to give it up. I'm never going to sell my guitars.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I just bought a very expensive loop pedal, a Taylor acoustic electric, and a Gibson Les Paul all in the same shot, and then stopped playing. So
Right.
now it's a matter of, if it's not making me money, is it worth keeping around? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But my love for it, even just the aesthetics of a guitar hanging on a hook, still appeals to me. And so I don't think I'll ever actually sell them, but I'm not,
Well, you're never going to get anything selling for anyway, because the market
and
is
I'm
so flooded
left-handed.
with everybody selling their guitars. Well, yeah, and they definitely shouldn't. Well, you should have just flipped yours over like Jimi Hendrix did.
That's how I started that one. The original second-hand 6-string that my mom bought me was right-handed, and I originally learned how to play right-handed, but I'd been air guitaring for so many years left-handed that it was uncomfortable, so I had to flip it over. I didn't actually get my first actual right-handed guitar till I was probably in the ballpark of 25 years old.
Well, yeah, so that's where I am. I had 2 dreams as a young person. I don't. It's not my dream anymore, but was to, for one time in my life, to play a gig as a rhythm
Mhm.
guitar player, because I was never going to be lead for sure. And I stopped. I used to have a semi decent voice, but I stopped singing a long time ago. I used to sing, like, every night. I would sing to my son and play the guitar and sing songs to him. But after he was like, I don't know, 7 or so, I stopped doing that. And then my daughter was never interested in me doing it, so that was all of my singing. And now I never sing. Very rarely do I ever sing. So my voice is completely gone. So I'm like, well, I gave up that dream. And my other dream was to do a stand-up routine just once, like 5 minutes, 3 minutes,
I
5
still
minutes.
think you have hopes at that
That
one.
that one I might be able to do someday. That's the
I
possible.
I
That's
find
possible.
the idea of stand-up absolutely terrifying, even though I could go up and play 3 hours of guitar music and singing without even thinking about it nowadays. There's no way I could stand up and just talk to people.
I feel like I could do that because I'm pretty good at. I've got a lot of very humiliating stories.
Self-deprecating
I
humor is
got a lot.
amazing.
I've got plenty. Yeah, I've got plenty of humiliating stories that I think that I could totally go with. That would be fine. But so no, that dream is still kind of held up. Hey, how about you? You got any particular things that you still want to do that seems kind of off the wall beyond the norm?
Not really. We kind of settled down and turned into old people somewhere along the way. We got a nice little piece of property, and we're kind of starting a farm almost. All that stuff. I think nowadays my dream would just be to take a week off of work. That'd be pretty cool. But I've actually been able to do a lot of the things that I've wanted to do through work as far as traveling and things like that. Like I just got back from Mexico a couple weeks ago and I've never been there. That was pretty neat.
That is neat. So, what do you think with everything that's going on now with all the do you think the immigration problem is real? Do you think that we're really getting flooded by Mexicans trying to take our jobs?
No.
Now, let me put the caveat on that. Let me just say that you can say whatever you want. You're not going to make me mad. The other half of Beaveman and the Doc would get pissed, but you can say whatever you want.
No, I want to have this argument with the people that really think this is a big problem because they're not coming to take our jobs. And the reality of the matter is they can legally come work in the US if they want to anyway.
Absolutely, my cousins do it.
So
My cousins do it
so
legally.
and they're doing jobs that for the most part we don't want to do and they're doing them well. And so the big issue that comes is that a lot of the women come to the US pregnant, hoping to have the baby in the US, but then they take the baby right back to Mexico and the baby waits till they're 18 to come to the US anyway. And a lot of the people that I met down there, their schooling is better than the opportunities I had. We're talking about engineers, teachers, music teachers, machinists. These guys,
Yeah, my cousin's an engineer.
what's that?
My cousin's an engineer in
Oh, yeah?
Mexico. My cousins have very good jobs in
Yep.
Mexico, and they grew up in one of the most dangerous cities in the
Yep.
world.
So did this guy. He was in the same. I'm struggling. My brain just stopped and couldn't remember the name of the town. Um, but it's where the cartels pretty much grew up and went to school.
Hmm.
And he was an engineer and just got out of bed one day and decided he was done being an engineer and decided to open a music school. And I am just absolutely impressed with even their health care is better than ours. You know what I mean? Like it's not, I don't know, better per se, but it's not such a big business.
Right.
And that's something that their opportunities seem for on a different scale, I guess, but they seem like their opportunities are better than ours for the most part. I don't understand, other than fear of things that are going on in Mexico, why most of them would want to even come here and live. You know what I mean? You're going to end up
Right.
paying more money for your medical care. You're going to end up with less opportunities for your kids because it's a little fish in a huge pond. I don't know. My attitude and my uh, uh, ideas of Mexico changed immensely by spending a couple weeks with the people down there.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting for me, coming from a family that is Mexican American family, and seeing the attitudes of the family members towards that particular issue. For example, in my opinion, the immigration claims made by the current administration are inflated and full of shit.
Agreed.
Because I know I have family members who are in
Hmm.
Mexico. I have them. I'm in communication with them on Facebook, and we talk with them, even though I have to hit Google Translate, I have to hit translate and stuff. They I have two cousins that come up here and work legally. They're sent by their company in Mexico to come up here and
Hmm.
work, and they travel back and forth. And I have cousins that have gone to Mexico, have gone to the United States to work and go back to Mexico. The jobs that they're talking about that they're taking are no jobs that anybody in the United States is taking in the first place. They're doing it
Hmm.
better. And if they really want to worry about our jobs being taken, our jobs are being taken by robots, not by immigrants.
Agreed.
So the bottom line is this is a fat entitled society that wants things their way and believes, when you talk about the current administration talking about fake news, well, you're spreading fake news too.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
So, and then when I get really irritated when folks who are married to people who are not from this country or who have family members who are not from this country, yet they think the border should be closed. I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't you? I'm like, I'm sorry, but how did you think you got here?
And you make,
and my people owned all the way up to Canada. First of all, at one point in time, you guys haven't had this country that fucking long.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, that's the thing. The people that are in this country didn't come from this country. I have family members that came from this country.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's same thing.
I mean, if that's what you're afraid of, well, that was the beginning of the United States. You know what I mean? That was people coming from another country and terrorizing the people that were already here and just taking it like they owned it. And now they're going to claim, oh, they're coming and taking our jobs. Well, isn't that what we did to begin with?
Yeah, and the point I always make, I'm like, well, they're not taking our jobs. You guys, this country has so many people that are not working, that are just sitting back, getting money from the government. And they're the ones who, and I hate to say it, but a lot of them are the ones who are bitching the most. I'm like, what are you bitching about? You don't even fucking work. What are you bitching about?
I've said it and said it and said it. And the people I say it about will never hear this podcast. So I'm not too concerned about offending them. But I keep saying it.
Well, I have a theory that I live by. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah.
What's that?
I have a theory that I live by. It is my podcast rule.
What's that?
My podcast rule is I will not say anything on this podcast that I don't want anybody to know.
Right.
That's how I am. Obviously I don't say what my name is, but if anybody wanted to know what my name was, I would just tell them what my name is. Right. But I don't say my name not for a specific reason because
it's part of the mystique of having a podcast, man.
Yeah. But it's maybe someday I'll become famous and people will know who I am anyway, but I seriously doubt it. But I don't say anything on the podcast that I don't care if anybody knows. Right. So that's kind of how I posted on Facebook. It was kind of funny. I said, why is my dad so racist?
I saw that.
And my dad and Doc says, he's like, I'll answer that question. He's not. Or something like that. I go, but he is. He's very racist. And it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. How someone could marry someone who's full-blooded Mexican and be so goddamn racist against Mexico. It makes no sense.
My grandfather was Native American and one of the most racist people I've ever met. And I think, seriously? Like your people have put up with all kinds of hatred, and somehow you find it you can be racist. So when you posted it, I was like, I get it. 100%.
Yeah. And to grow up with it. See, it's not a new phenomenon. That's the thing. It's not a new phenomenon. This is something that I've lived with my whole life, with my father. And I love my father. I don't really know why he had children. I don't really understand it. I don't really understand why my mother had. I don't understand why they had children in the first place because they don't particularly seem interested in having had children. But I've lived with that racism my whole life. And I've tried very hard, and I've been very hard on myself and said, I think that I'm racist about this, and I think I'm racist about that, and all these other things. But as time has gone by, I've realized that I'm actually not racist.
I am exactly the same, except I've caught myself being racist. Sitting on a plane watching some Middle Eastern guys get on, and you size them up just to see if you maybe could take them if you had to. That's you find yourself being racist in that way rather than against minorities now. You know what I mean? Or against the common minorities, I should say. But I've always prided
Well, what
myself in
I've
the fact that
realized,
everybody's the same until you piss me off, and then then we have a problem with you, not because of the color of your skin. But
and that's the realization that I've come to also. I've realized that it's not that I am racist against ethnic groups, it's that I have experiences with people from ethnic groups, and I have to question myself and say, was it because I don't like them because of this? And then I realize I'm like, no, it's because I don't fucking like them.
right,
It's just regular people. It's not because of their. When I re-examine it and look at it, I'm like, no, that person's a dick, and that's why I don't fucking like
right.
them.
Wouldn't matter what color you are,
It
you're
doesn't
just a
have anything
dick.
to do with it. Yeah, it doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what their religious preference is. Doesn't matter what country they come from. No, they're just a fucking asshole, and I don't like
Right.
them. Period. And that whole thing about sizing people up, based on whether if they're from the Middle East. Well, I size people up no matter where they're from. So like, you probably shouldn't feel bad about that, because I look at everybody and I go, yeah, I could take that person.
But with my
Yeah, I could
stature
take that
being
person.
what it is, that's not something I commonly do. But if I'm sitting on an airplane and I see more than one Middle Easterner get on, I do that. And it's
Yeah.
completely racist. It's absolutely racist because not every Middle Easterner is getting on a plane to hijack it. You know what I mean? But whatever conditioning we've had since 9/11, I do that now. And I like even stop myself like, dude, quit being an idiot, you know?
Well, one of the funny things about it, if you really think about it hard, if you really think about our culture in general, okay, just picture, what we are in America and what you know about America. And then picture it as if you were living in a Middle Eastern country and how that translates. For example, this is the biggest thing that I think is just completely obnoxious, is assuming that everyone in the Middle East goes to the temple or goes to the
Mhm.
mosque. How many people in the United States go to church?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably equal.
And it's equal, but it's a small
Yeah,
amount.
it's not. I mean, percentage wise, it's probably pretty small.
So when we're making these generalizations about people from the Middle East, oh, they're all Muslim and they all do this. I'm like, well, maybe, but look at the United States. How different can we actually be? If all these people identify as a certain thing, I'm like, nobody here goes to fucking
Mhm.
church. How many of them do you think actually go to fucking church?
Right.
It's probably also a very small
Yep.
percentage. As nations become more and more industrialized, or if they become more and more mainstream, religion takes a back seat.
True.
I think that religion really is, and not to bash religion because I consider myself religious, but I think that religion takes a back seat because the reason why religion is so large in people's lives is because their lives suck.
Yep. I mean, in
And
that
the more people's lives suck, the more they turn to
yeah,
faith.
in that context, I mean, you're right because they're looking for something to believe in rather than just living their sad lives. I mean,
Exactly. They're like, this is a poor existence. This is a shitty existence. Please tell me there's
right.
something
You,
else. Give
you
me
start
faith that
looking
things are going to
you
get
start
better.
looking for the better. Yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
So So to think that everybody's a religious extremist is ridiculous, because that would be like saying the same thing here. I'm like, well, that's not the case, because how different can these countries be? We don't have that many people that are knocking down the church
Right. We
doors.
we have
And I'm
Christians all
sure,
throughout the United States, but I don't think not one of them plans on going and doing a crusade anytime soon. Like back in the day.
no, exactly. They'll identify, but only so that they can celebrate Christmas.
Right. I guess that's correct. Or, in some people's cases, maybe just to put themselves a little higher on the food chain in their heads than maybe someone who's an atheist or agnostic. I know
Right.
I know a lot of entitled Christians, I guess is the best way to say that. I'm trying to be politically correct and say the right thing, but I don't know what it is. The word it's really is hypocrite, but uh, not all Christians are hypocrites, so I'm not going to do that.
No. No, I mean, well, no, everybody knows you're not generalizing, but if it makes you feel any better, I can be like, well, fuck you, Christians.
That hurt my own soul.
You're like, that hurts. You're like, but as we can all agree, like, once again, like I've said in the past, Jesus had great abs.
He did.
We can all agree on that. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know how he was working that core, but
It's all the
pretty
walking.
awesome.
You ever tried to walk in sand?
Yeah, it's it definitely works the core. Definitely works the core. I was actually funny. I was, hopefully he's listening. I was, as I said, I was just in Arizona and I was working with another nurse practitioner, a really nice guy. For some reason in that area of Arizona, there was a lot of Mormons. Fuck you, Mormons. No,
Here we go.
Shout out to you guys.
Fuck
You shouldn't be listening to this anyway.
Fuck you.
You shouldn't be listening to this. Fuck you, Mormons. Anyway, if you're listening, anyway, we were talking about it. I was talking about Jesus, and I was telling, we were talking about how the cathedral had burned, and it had reminded me of some stuff, and we talked about, being an altar boy and how I had been quite, was it normal that the priest used to rub my shoulders more than everybody else, and and they were believing me. They're like, no, that's not normal. He shouldn't have been doing that. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, oh, so he shouldn't have been making comments about me. Yeah, and how I was rocking that robe, all that sort of thing. How I could ring his bell. No. Ring the chimes. I could ring the chimes. And no, they actually thought I was. They thought I was serious about that. But anyway, no, we just talked about all the cover-ups and that sort of thing, and I was talking about how ridiculous it was that people think Jesus was white. I'm like, that's such a ridiculous notion. If you thought he was from this particular region of the world, why would you think he was white?
That's just our own white people entitlement. We had to change Jesus into a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy
who's ripped.
Who's ripped?
Now he might very well have been ripped. He was a carpenter, and probably wasn't eating a lot. Probably did some serious core exercises. But it was funny because the guy I was working with, who's of the Mormon faith, was like, he's like, yeah, you're right. He's like, the depictions we have of him are also white. Uh-huh. It's like, isn't that crazy? But again, yes, he did agree that it wasn't right for the priest to rub my shoulder.
I'm glad you went right back there. I do love the repeating joke.
As far as he knew, it was the wrong thing to be doing.
And you should have told him so.
I should have, but there was a point in time wearing my robe where it looked like I was pitching a tent, and I didn't feel like that was. And that's why you kneel, because when you kneel, you can't notice that quite as much.
Right, exactly.
That might be also why they make you drink so much wine, so that it won't, it will go down. I guess in general.
I was right there with you.
Yeah. You were also getting rubbed by you were also getting your shoulders rubbed by the priest.
No, it would have been a Southern Baptist minister in my case.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not a lot of robe wearing there.
Vis-a-vis Jimmy Swaggart.
Lots of eye makeup they were having you guys wear.
Right. Yeah. Why is that necessary? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why are you making me look like a painted whore? No, this is clown makeup. This is clown makeup. This is the Tina Fey school, or Tammy Faye, whatever school. Tammy Faye school. Tammy Faye school of religiosity, if you will.
Oh man, I can't imagine there's a whole lot of demand for that one.
Well, during this administration, there might be. You never know.
Oh man, you're trying to get me started, but I'm not going to fall for it.
You're not going to fall for it? By now, somebody would be getting really pissed at me and making me erase shit. They're like, okay, well, I can't do that. I can't erase anything. So what's the plan? What's the plans? You said that I wanted to ask you because you have a really interesting job. Tell us about your job real quick.
The title is Online Auction Setup Manager. So I travel around the United States and set up auctions on online auctions on a large scale. Take the pictures of, say, entire factories full of stuff. Then do descriptions, make, model, serial number, a little bit about the machine. Basically, what it boils down to is I'm a photographer that talks to himself all day.
But what would you say is the coolest thing that you've seen?
I did a Celine Mustang plant in California a few years ago, and Some of the cars that rolled through there were pretty awesome. Been inside quite a few famously haunted places.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is like the most bizarre thing that you've seen?
Most bizarre was a home for the criminally insane that used to be an Indian re-education center in Mount Pleasant.
Yeesh. Okay.
And also, that was one of the famously haunted places. It had
Now, how much time did you have to spend there?
2 weeks alone.
Ooh. I think you texted me about that.
Yeah, probably.
This was years ago, right?
Yeah,
this was years ago.
It was probably 7 or 8 years ago. There were
Okay.
tunnels. The place is like a small city. There were 13 buildings, including 2 hospitals, and there were underground tunnels that linked all of the buildings together. And back when it was a re-education center, they'd take the Indian kids that didn't behave and take them down to them tunnels and chain them to the walls and beat them to death.
Wow.
And we walked those tunnels the last day I was there. You could see dirt imprints of where people had hung for so much of an amount of time with their handcuffs above their head and on these walls that the shapes of their bodies were still emblazoned in the walls.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, there was, and I didn't believe in the famously haunted crap until I was there alone for a few days, and quite a few weird things happened. But that's another whole episode of Beaveman in the Dock.
Yeah, that's pretty freakish.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff happened there. And then the place now, I don't know if it still stands, but while I was there, is surrounded by an Indian reservation all the way around it. And they had the absolute right to shoot you on sight if you walked onto the reservation off of that Mount Pleasant Center.
I could actually rightly see why.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't starting that shit again.
Right.
You just back the fuck up and get up.
Let's just put it this way. The place had a body incinerator on site.
Oh, well, every good hospital has a body incinerator on site.
Yeah, that's probably the absolute most insane place I've been in, right off the top of my head.
Now, what exactly did they have to sell there that needed to be auctioned?
A lot of medical equipment.
Here's a nice little butt plug over here. This is the anal raping device.
I didn't see any of those, but I did see the shock treatment room, and it was a grid on the floor of the entire room.
What the hell?
And basically, somebody controlled it from behind a wall, and it was to supposedly curb certain behaviors.
I would say that's not even how electrical convulsive therapy is done. So let's just fuck.
It was basically the abuse room, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird, and you could tell everything was like still from the 70s, like everything in there. The beds even were older, late 70s, 1980s style hospital beds. But that's the kind of stuff they were selling, all the nurse station stuff, the medicine, the prescription medicine cabinets with the locking glass doors, hospital beds, TVs, wall mounts.
Now, this stuff would not be purchased by anybody, any hospitals. This had to have been purchased by collectors.
People that want freaky crap in their house, scrappers. I mean, some of the buildings were so defunct that you walked in and there was grass growing out of the carpet or weeds growing out of the carpet. It was not high quality. I think a lot of the buyers were donating this stuff to maybe third world countries or poorer people that need medical equipment here. It was a whole bunch of money, but it made a lot of notoriety.
Wow. Now, who? Here's my question. Then, who was owning this in the first place? Who actually?
The city of Mount Pleasant, Michigan, owns it.
Wow. Okay.
And at one point, the Ghost Hunters crew, one of the Ghost Hunters crews, went in there with permission from the city and did I believe they did a show. I've never seen the show, but that was the lore there. And if you look it up on the interwebs, you can just punch in Mount Pleasant Center and just read all about it. It's an amazing place.
That sounds pretty horrifying.
It was the most terrified I've been on a job.
And how many times did you pee yourself?
Several. I lost count after I lost pants.
There's like it's not even necessary. Like I'm just gonna walk around naked from now on.
Right.
Like I'm continuously urinating all over myself,
pretty
so
much.
it's not necessary. Pants are just irrelevant at this point.
Right. I just stopped wearing pants altogether. There's no purpose in it.
So, what would you say is the most? Have you done anything that you would consider to be like the most amusing thing that you've had to sell? Did you ever like any like clown museums that you had to sell the contents of?
Strip club. We did a strip club in Grand Rapids, a big one. We sold this.
Now, did they sanitize the poles first before you put them up for auction, or
That's none of your business.
would you like to just take like a swab of a stripper pole?
I would,
and just see what you get.
there's a picture of me flagging off of one of those poles, and now I feel really gross. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad I was.
That's just impressive that you could do that in the first place, though. That's impressive.
The picture's somewhere on Facebook. I'll just have to shoot it to you. You'll be impressed.
Oh, well, that's good.
Perfectly
well,
horizontal.
Have to accompany it to your podcast episode.
There you go. That'll be your cover picture.
Exactly. All right, good. Well, I'd say that about covers it. Did you have a good time?
Absolutely.
Wow, we appreciate you taking time out to do this interview with us.
Yes, live from Mississippi,
or as I like to call it, Mississippi.
There you go.
Because one of the guys
it's obviously
from
unmarried.
one of the guys from that I was in the Army with. He was from Mississippi, but I think he lives in Louisiana now, or Louisiana, or however you say that. Anyway. Yeah, cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for doing this interview. We'll get this posted sometime this week.
All right, man. It was fun, and I'm glad I could help you out.
Yeah, cool. But this is Beaveman of the Dock, and I'm the Beaveman. And once again, thanks, Rick, for joining us for this interview. And it'll be posted sometime this week. And adios, mooch fuckos.